Hey everyone, I got bad news today. Thursday was my last official day of work. The plant that I worked at is closed. And I wanted to talk about that, what I think it means. My industry was in the housing, windows and doors industry, residential windows and doors. We closed a plant in September of 2023. I was successfully able to get a job at another plant in the same company. And now we've closed that second plant. Our sales have dropped so substantially that they literally closed a successful plant that survived the 2008 recession, just to give you some insight. When I look on the news, we're told that the job market's strong, that the consumer's strong, while our sales continue to drop. I don't have all the data of what happened, but closing a business full of machinery, laying off people, giving severance packages, terminating leases prematurely, it's not cheap. I went to the gas station today and a pack of M&Ms was about $3.29. These are kid-size M&Ms. We're told that inflation is a symptom of a strong economy and everyone's competing for a limited labor, a lot of competition for buying the same thing, especially when it comes to a house. I don't think that's the case. I think what's going to happen is that we believe that the economy's strong, that housing's strong, that all these industries are strong. Let me backtrack a little bit. I was a carpenter in 2008, and the housing was already starting to kind of collapse before the economy collapsed. It's important to understand that. I remember people putting their homes for sale in 2008, and the economy tanked afterwards. I remember the Union Hall saying that we were going to have less building permits next year. Nobody seemed to flinch or care because work was strong at that time. You couldn't hire enough carpenters. Nobody wanted to do it. There was not enough people wanting to work construction. This, I think, is different. I think what's going to happen is that so many people have bought into the narrative that prices aren't coming down, things are going to stay high forever. Get yourself into an asset, whether it's a house or the S&P 500 or some kind of crypto Bitcoin thing. And they have so much believe that as things start to fall down, for example, closing a Big Lots down the street or closing a fun park or another business closing, and they see that their asset's still very expensive, they validate that belief. So your biggest economic sector, which I think is probably housing, at least in the United States, your biggest sector that drives a lot of jobs, whether it be furniture at IKEA or remodeling, or in my case, windows and doors, your biggest sector doesn't have people selling or buying. And if you're not buying or selling, there's no velocity. And the prices stay high, and people believe nothing's going to collapse. And slowly these industries start dying little by little. And people start losing their jobs. Real estate brokers don't have anything to sell. Yet people will still buy a house for 1.1 million that was 550,000 in San Diego 5-6 years ago. And don't question a single thing about it. So in this crash, this real estate crash, I don't think it's going to crash the same way as 2008. I think other areas of the country will start collapsing and prices will still stay high. And I think they may call it stagflation. And I think the last thing to go will be the housing market. But when it goes, it just doesn't go like it did in 2008. When it goes, it goes. People don't want to move because they can't afford to move. So that $1.1 million home that they bought 25 years ago, They may feel good on the inside, but they have nowhere to go. And when those people start letting go en masse because they have to, it will start a collapse of pricing like we've never seen before. That's my theory. I don't know what to make of this. When the S&P 500 is rallying, when the housing market, at least in my city, is like out of control, but I don't see people moving money around. When I go to McDonald's and I spend $50 for feeding 4 people, 2 of them are children. That's not a joke, by the way. When I see the price of a new truck that's $20,000 more than a truck, same model, that's only 10 years older, but the same truck, I start thinking like, people's wages haven't jumped that high. Where's this money coming from? When I see people who bought the house for 1.1 million, is their wage higher than it was 10 years ago? Sometimes I think the price of a house is only dictated by the loan that they're willing to give you for it. I don't think people actually care what the cost is of something. If homes in San Diego were $2 million, I think they just make 50-year loans and people would buy the home for $2 million. I think if they were $3 million, people would just figure out a loan. They'd stretch it out. So you get all these forces at play pushing on things too quickly where wages haven't risen to compensate for that much debt load. And all it takes is a few things to fall in and the whole thing falls apart. I don't know how, with this low sales volume of houses, low inventory, people don't want to move, people don't want to buy, people don't want to sell. I don't know how things keep going. Where do people work? We don't make nothing in America. This iPhone that I'm on is made in China. It's $1,500. It's the price of a laptop. When I look at apartments for rent, a 2-bedroom apartment's $2,700. That's more than a house. That's more than a house was just five years ago. How is that possible? Where do people get this extra money from? The stimulus was a big thing, but it wasn't that much money. So are we all drinking the Kool-Aid together? Are we all believing that we can afford the lifestyles that we have right now? Are we lying to each other? Are you going and taking a credit card and swiping the card because your house went up in value and you've believed that you can pay off that debt because your home's worth more than it was 5 years ago? What is happening where I'm watching the news and I'm being told things are okay, but I can't see where it's okay? I see the homeless everywhere. I see graffiti. I see trash on the streets. But you'll take a guy who's selling Mexican strawberry raspados on the corner, and I'll see a police officer telling him to pick up his stuff and go. He's got a nice banner. He's got the Venmo QR code. He's got a line of people, satisfied customers. He's friendly. And the police will come and tell him to pick up his stuff and go, or they're going to arrest him. But you'll let a homeless guy pee and poop on the street, and I have videos of that kind of stuff, and you won't do a thing about it. I don't know what's happening. I'm concerned. I'm hoping that I'm wrong, but I think something's really wrong out here. And I think a lot of us see it. We don't know how to define it. We sometimes keep it to ourselves. When I saw the financials for my company be really poor, I tightened up my wallet. I wanted to buy a dirt bike, to be clear. I wanted a dirt bike really bad. But I didn't think that that my job was safe. I started tightening up my money because I didn't think I was going to have a job in a few months. And then my predictions came true and the plant closed. Now, how many people out there went and got the dirt bike? Went and bought the new house? Went and bought the new F-150 4x4 and then lost their job? I was already tightening up. Some people are going to have to tighten up the hard way. I don't have anything else to say. I'm just going to leave it off at this. Thanks a lot and have a great day.